Hello YouTube, back again with some replays and deck profile of SuperHeavy Samurai Cyber Squad. And my first matchup against DDD, I have about 4 of these I want to show off. So let's get started with the first matchup. So I'm playing DDDs and I end up just setting gloves, not knowing what I'm playing against, not wanting to overextend. So he ends up wombo comboing and ends up going into Beowulf with a set warning. So I take double piercing, although I'm able to rebuild my stack, and on top of my stack I put a Butterball. And then Butterball, first I summon Thief, try to force out any back row, steal something maybe. But so Butterball lets me go into Susanoo, Susanoo lets me steal that warning, really nice. And then Poke for 38, and not really sure how the DDD is going to get over this. Since I'm not, well, one, I'm not sure, and two, 38's, nice, and then it's backed up with a warning. He ends up Twin Twistering the warning, and I decided that's a really nice warning, so Susanoo go ahead and gives it to me. So he tries to wombo combo, trying to search for some kind of play to force out Susanoo. And he ends up just making Formula Synchron, drawing a useless card and conceding right there. Our next matchup here is against Darklords. He ends up going first and is able to set himself up. And he ends his board with Titanic Galaxy, along with 2 set strikes and Virus. So against any other matchup, that would be a really solid board. And even against this deck, it's a really solid board. But I have the hand to help force out. He ends up virusing, trying to find out my hand. Luckily, he's not able to hit anything because this is a Monster Mash deck. So I end up thiefing. He strikes the thief. So I try to Butterball for some plays. He ends up striking the Butterball. So I end up specialing Trumpeter, equipping some souls, try to get a search off Piercer was my main objective, and to put something new on board. But he negates Peacemaker. Guess he's not here to make some peace. But he ends up poking with Titanic Galaxy, top decks the third strike. So that's pretty bad for me. But so I end up special summoning Scales and going into Butterball. I try to Synchro and shooting Joji to pop that, and he ends up striking that. But I end up pitching some cards for Mocking a Fortress, ram into Titanic Galaxy to pop it, and so here we're both top decking. So he top decks Upstart, draws into, an unplayable card at the moment. And so I get into Daikaichi, probably one of the best draws I could have gotten. So Daikaichi lets me search out I go and get a Shine Claw just because if he is able to establish a monster, I want, my board to be protected, and Daikaichi will help get reoccurring searches. So I punch over his tiny little weenie, and as I'm trying to go for my next search, he plays Falling from Grace to pop my card, and so I top deck Mocking a Fortress, kind of unplayable. He draws another unplayable card, but I know, just need to summon that Mocking a Fortress, and that ends the game. This next game is I'm playing against Fluffals, and he's playing some of the OCG, the stuff still in the OCG right now, although I'm still, playing OCG cards myself. So he ends up wombo comboing, makes a Kraken, does some Toy Vendor wing plays, super deck thinning shenanigans, and he's able to go into Saber Tiger. Saber Tiger lets him summon his Kraken, and he goes to Titanic Galaxy. And I feel incredibly comfortable here because I know I can deal with the Titanic Galaxy. So I go Magnet, summon Daikaichi. Unfortunately, he max sees Daikaichi. But I get my search into Soul Piercer. Soul Piercer equips, gets my search into my Battle Fader. And I Castellaways Titanic Galaxy, and then Poke. And I know he's going to try to make some sort of OTK push, so I'm feeling really comfortable with the Steadfast in hand. So, he has the second Patchwork, which means he's just going to get a massive push in. And then he just, wombo combos, just stuff like that. He ends up Fright for Tigering away my Castell, and then adds back some stuff. Goes into the second Kraken, resolves some effects, and then he's able to get his Factory. Factory lets him summon his Saber Tiger. Saber Tiger gets the next Kraken. He tries to go for game, and then I pretty much Battle Fader him here. And then here he tries to push over this guy. I don't know why, he kept going. And I'll kind of spoil this. He ends up playing Regeki and passing or conceding before we can play out the full game. But one thing I'd like to show here is why concede if he has this really strong board. I don't know why myself. But this information I do is if I would have top decked Butterball, and Butterball would have let me synchro using one of his Krakens as Susanoo, and then I could have cracked into the second Kraken with Susanoo. Just feeling really comfortable there. So, and even then, I'd, Mocking a Fortress play, so might have survived, but that's that game, and just let it play out. See? He concedes right there. On to the next game. Here we have a matchup against Graydles. I end up going first, and with Gloves and Fortress, I'm able to summon Fortress and build my stack. And he shows that he's playing Graydles with Graydle Impact, and he sets a card. So on my turn, I just put Fortress in defense mode and just kind of have to wait since I don't have any plays that I'm going to force into and just give him stuff. So he ends up summoning Firehand and then equipping it with Split, punching over Fortress. Fortress lets me get rid of the Alligator. Here I have a Butterball from my stack, so I end up going into Shunin Doji, popping his Impact, and feeling really comfortable here because now, I have a Synchro that lets me attack in a defense position so he can't just ram and take my stuff. But he ends up cranking going into Grand Impulse. So here I have to find... It's really hard for me to get over that 28 body, so I end up going into Musashi. Musashi adds back my Tuner, and then my Tuner lets me go into my level 7. My level 7 lets me attack directly at half damage, but I forgot its Ignition effect. Forgot to activate that during the main phase, so I missed out on one turn of 14 damage. But really slow game. He sets Eagle. Obviously I'm not going to, fall for that, but I end up poking him for another 14. And I draw into Thief, so I'm feeling comfortable here, so I can pop one of his Graydles, or I can, pop a random back row, at this time I don't know it's a Twin Twister. But I end up drawing into Shineclaw. Shineclaw lets me poke for 17. So I'm pushing even more damage, and I don't want to equip Horn, because in case, he steals it. But he ends up going into Scarlet Red Dragon, pops my stuff, poking me for damage. I Battle Fader him to kind of put a stop to taking too much unnecessary damage. And then this comes back since it was destroyed by card effect. I try to Butterball, although he Torrentials, puts a stop to that, and gets some draws off Supply Squad. Although I go into Machina Fortress and are able to push for game. Here we have a matchup against Pendulum Magician, and I end up going first, summoning Fortress, getting my stack ready with Giga Gloves. And here I feel he could have played this matchup a lot better. He made a lot of incredibly questionable plays and didn't really extend. I don't know if he was afraid of Fortress or just trying to learn the deck. But he ends up going to Startime Magician. Startime searches out Black Fang, and so I guess he's, trying to float up here. I decide I'm not a big fan of these. Well, first I punch over into that Searcher, so he can't reoccur and search stuff. He Irises, and then does some shenanigans, ends up summoning some stuff, and whatnot. He ends up Pendulum summoning, and he ends up just leaving, these on the field. I'm not sure why he did that, but so I decide that I'm just going to pop his Scales and his Field Spill and whatnot, and I decide to search with Piercer into Horn to get 2 attacks, so I'm trying to just get some random damage, hoping, he'll make some sort of push that I can try to counter push. But so with the Scales gone, he's gonna have to try to work hard. Unfortunately, I don't know. He searches out Unicorn, but he's not able to complete a full scale. But he does get rid of Fortress, and then I rip the fusion out of his hand, and I end up poking him for game right here. Here in the final game, I'm playing against Metalfoes, and he ends up going first. And I do make kind of a misplay on my first turn, and then he makes a misplay to kind of counteract the misplay, so it kind of all comes together into a fair game. But he ends up kind of just summoning a Kieran with 2 back row. So my misplay here is I summon Butterball, forgetting that Kieran can't be targeted. So it's kind of the misplay on my part. So I summon Fortress, just trying to force that Kieran pop, and then I end up summoning Fortress again after he Kieran bounces. So I just hit for some damage. He ends up MSTing one of his own things to activate Counter. Counter summons his Effect Monster. Effect Monster gets him a search, but I'm still able to, poke for 25. He draws Painful Decision. He's able to make some plays here. Here I think on this turn he makes a misplay, and I think his misplay comes from he runs out of time. But so he sets Kieran in a scale, so he's able to make a push. He breaks swords and then goes into one of his fusions. He breaks sword, pops my Fortress. Fortress lets me rip a card out of his hand, and he doesn't attack here, and that's his misplay. So it kind of breaks even on the misplays here. I think his timer just ran out before he was able to push for stuff. But so Butterball lets me Synchro Summon into Susanoo. And when he tries to pop off his effect, I'm able to protect my monster with a Fire Suit. And then I steal his MST so he can't complete his scale. Go into Fortress, and then I poke for some damage, and then pretty much I just kind of win right here because it can't think of anything Metalfoes could draw. So yeah, he gets fusion and that's the game. So on to the deck profile. Alright, so this is the deck, and it's currently running at 43 cards. I'd like to dump it at 40 cards, and some of my choices may seem weird or unnecessary, but I'm just trying out different things, trying out the archetype. But so, start things off, so I'm running the Machina engine with 3 Fortress, 3 Gear Frame, 1 Megaform. I think those replays showed that Fortress does have a place in the deck, although I might try some other sub-engines out. Big fan of this. Thief is pretty much my MST. Lets me pop a card, steal something of my opponent's. Very good card. And then I run Waraji. Don't actually know what this does. Free special summons. Daikaichi. Hope this comes to the TCG soon, but lets me search out my souls, which are pretty much my hand traps / equip spells. Really good. Magnet's my Marauding Captain. Scales is my Blizzard. Steadfast, my Battle Fader. Giga Gloves is my Pseudo Searcher. And then for my tuners, I run 2 Trumpeter. Might bump this up to... I want to bump this up to 3, but I really don't know what to cut. But just really good plays because it can special summon itself. Battle Baller, just letting me steal my opponent's monsters for my own synchro summons. Really good. And then 3 of the level 1 tuner. Might cut this to 2, don't know. But so far it's just really good. Opens up plays with... dozens of cards. So for my souls, I'm running Piercer, Cannon, Fire Suit, Shineclaw, Gauntlet, Horn, Soul Beads, and Peacemaker. Honestly, Cannon and Cannon's been kind of lackluster, and so has Soul Beads, so they might be cut. They might be replaced. Don't know. Still trying to figure out all the ins and outs of the deck before I make any too big of edits, although I am going to try some different sub builds. So for the extra deck, for the rank 4s, I play Emerald, Castell, and then Gear Giga X. I ended up putting a Draco Sack in here just because plays do come up where you have double Fortress, and you just need that removal, and the fact it's machine and can remove itself off board if need be, just good stuff. And then 1 Cyframe Lord Omega, because I kept getting hands, I didn't show in any of these replays, but I kept getting these weird things where I'd want to go Fortress and with the level 1 tuner, although I didn't have any generic 8s, so I put Omega in here, and unfortunately I didn't get a replay. I have a game, but I unfortunately didn't save the replay where Omega was the MVP of that game. So on to the Samurai Synchros, 2 Susanoo. Just they all share the effect. They can attack from defense position and use their defense. And then this guy lets me take during the other player's turn spells and traps out of my opponent's grave and use them as my own. And then they're removed from play at the after activation. 1 QB, just the big beat stick, gets 900 defense for each special summon monster. 1 Saratobi. Haven't made this guy yet, but just for the placeholder, and combo plays with Battle Ball, and then just lets me pop back row and flick some burn is really good. Probably gonna cut Shinobashi to 1, but he still has his plays, and you still need to at least run 1 just for Butterball stuff. And then Ogre, Shun, and Doji. Just nuking back row, as you can see, is just incredibly good. Hitting scales, hitting mirror forces and whatnot. Not that mirror force hurts this deck that much, but stuff like that. Just hitting back row is always good. And then Musha lets me add stuff back. Lets me add back any machine from the grave, so it combos really well with Fortress and just stuff like that. So that's the deck. This is alpha build, still testing things out, but really enjoying this deck, and I don't think it's meta worthy, but I might build this for realsies and trolls at locals if I can just get all the cards together. Alright, so thank you for watching, and goodbye.